Turn with me to the book of Luke. Luke chapter 10. I'm going to speak about a very popular passage and story, if you want to call it. And this is basically a small conversation between Martha, Mary, and Jesus. Nothing much really to understand about this, but I was thinking about this and the very few words that Jesus spoke back. And so, Luke chapter 10, and this morning I want to talk about what's your concerns. This morning, the subject is, what's your concerns? So Luke chapter 10, verses 38 onwards. Luke 10, 38. It says, as Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Her sister Mary sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he taught. But Mary was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She came to Jesus and said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come and help me. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha, you're worried and upset over all these details. There's only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her. I was just thinking about this passage, and we're all going through so much of pressure, challenges, worry, concerns, and breaking down. Almost sometimes we break down. And Jesus looked at Martha and he asked just two things. Why are you worried and why are you upset? Now, what was Martha worried about? She's trying to make this big, lovely, sumptuous dinner and she's trying to get the best things for Jesus, right? There's nothing wrong with what Martha's doing. But Mary, for some reason, maybe an irresponsible sister, she just decided to go and sit beside Jesus and just listen to him. We don't know what Jesus was talking to her. We don't know what the conversation was about. But when Jesus looks at Martha and says, Martha, my dear Martha, you're worried and upset over all these details. Now, what are the details? The food. Maybe there was not enough provisions at home, and maybe Martha wanted to give some nice dessert, and maybe she wanted to decorate the house. It can be a lot of things. And he said, Martha, you're worried and you're upset about all these details. There's only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it, and it will be not taken away from her. Now, in our whole life, it's almost impossible to not be worried. It's funny that Jesus is actually looking at Martha and saying, Martha, why are you worried? It's like Martha must have been thinking, are you okay, Jesus? Are you normal? What's wrong with you? Do you not know that when you created me with feelings and emotions and concerns, and I definitely am going to be worried. But then what was Jesus trying to tell Martha? He's actually not telling her not to be worried and upset. Do you think God doesn't want us to be upset? It's not possible not to be angry and upset. It's not possible not to. If you're not worried, there's something wrong with you. If somebody comes and steals and burgles your house, and if you come out of the gate and just smile and say, hi everybody, there's something wrong with you. You're insane. You have to be worried. But what is Jesus telling Martha about being worried and being upset? So basically, Jesus was trying to help Martha understand, in all the worry and in all the upset, in all the frustration and all these things, he says, Martha, there's only one thing that's worth being concerned about. So basically, if you look at the word that Jesus is using, he's using the word worried, he's using the word upset, he's using the word tensed, he's saying, why are you with these? And then he goes on to say, there's only one thing that you actually need to be concerned about. And so that's why this morning I'm asking you, what is your concern? Don't ask yourself, what is your worry? Don't ask yourself, what are you upset about? I think the most important question is, what am I concerned about? It's not what I'm worried about, it's what I'm concerned about. Now maybe you're asking, what's the difference? There is a difference if Jesus used those words. He says, why are you upset and worried? He says, Mary has chosen something that's more worth, and she's concerned about that. And I will not take away that from her. When I was reading and thinking about this, there's a verse in the Bible in Isaiah 30:15. Isaiah 30:15. And this is what Isaiah 30:15 reads. It's a very, very powerful verse. Very, very powerful verse. It says, Isaiah 30:15 says, "This is what the sovereign Lord, the Holy One of Israel says, only in returning to me and resting in me will you be saved." Note the words. Only in returning to me and resting in me will you be saved. And it ends with saying, in quietness and in confidence is your strength. In quietness and in confidence is your strength. Now when the Lord says, only in returning to me, you will find that rest and be saved. What saved is God talking about here? This is not the salvation saved that God is talking about. He says, only in returning to me and resting in me will you be saved. Saved from what? Saved from worry, saved from being upset, saved from being frustrated, saved from being angry, saved from being irritated, saved from being jealous. If you only return to me, it says not just return to me. Sometimes we return to God, but we don't know how to rest in God. You see, returning to God is very easy. You know why it's easy? Because we know there's no other place to go. It's not rocket science. If everything, we normally try everything and we say, oh God, help me. That's the final statement. We should have actually said, oh God, help me first and saved our time. But we tried everything, oh God, help me. We know that's the only place to turn. The only way to turn is to turn around. It's not a big problem to turn around. It's not even a big problem to say, oh God, help me. Even atheists say, oh my God. So atheists who don't believe in God, when something they say, oh God, they'll say. They don't say, oh squirrel. They don't say, oh rose plant. They say, oh God. They don't believe in God, but they say, oh God. So we all know we can turn and come to God. But what many of us don't know is we need to rest in God. It says, only if you turn to me and rest in me will you be saved. If you want to get out of your being upset, being frustrated, being angered, being challenged, the only way is not just to turn, to come and find rest in God. And that's what Jesus was trying to tell Martha. He says, Martha, you're worried and upset about all these things. Jesus actually didn't want to make Martha feel bad. He could have always told her, I'm not coming to eat food. He didn't tell her that. It was very easy. Jesus just told him, you think Jesus didn't know Martha was in the kitchen working? You know how many of us, when we go to different homes, and as soon as we enter the home, we go to the home to talk to the people. At least this is the Indian homes. It won't happen anywhere else. As soon as we enter the home, immediately everybody will leave and they'll be in the kitchen. And we know what they're doing in the kitchen. They're making tea or juice. They're going and saying, hey, go and buy some snacks and come. You think Jesus didn't know Martha was doing all that stuff? Martha and Mary were not living in a palace for Jesus to not know where they were. A very small house. Jesus knew Martha was inside. But why did he not call Martha and say, Martha, leave all that, come here. Why did he not do that? Because he liked Mary more than Martha? No. He just wanted to bring out a learning here. And he wanted to find out who is concerned about what, who is worried about what, who is upset about what. He was trying to bring out the people to understand their issue. He knew Martha was going to come and complain. And he said, dear Martha, that's not necessary what you're doing there. We could have all gone out to a cafe and had food. Right? This is one of the reasons why I was saying I don't want anybody to cook on Sundays. Because we are concerned and worried about food and fish and meat and vegetables. And yesterday my wife came back and I was talking with people down, and my wife came and she didn't want to disturb the conversation, so she goes inside the bedroom and she calls from the bedroom in the hall. Why are they calling from the bedroom in the hall? So I go inside. There is no fish for tomorrow's lunch. 9 o'clock in the night. I'm like, Saru, you should have reminded me. Oh my gosh. Take the bike. We roamed for 1 hour last night, worried and tensed about fish for this afternoon's food. Anyway, we found the fish. We made fish fry today. Praise God. You see, we were worried and concerned about Jesus saying, Martha, I've not come to your house to eat. We can all go out and have food. It's not a big deal. Or you want fish curry and you want kebabs, I will just get it here. I will just pray it will be here. You don't have to be in the kitchen for that. But why did Jesus not do that to her? He wanted her to understand that you are after something that's worrying you and concerning you. But Martha was concerned about only one important thing. I will never take that one thing from her. Now the question that we need to ask ourselves is, what is that one thing that Mary was concerned about, that Jesus doesn't want to take from her? And so in this quietness and in confidence, resting in God, and it ends saying, in quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. I was again looking at the word quietness, and I was looking at the word confidence. To me, we need to quieten our spirits. Our spirits are very troubled. If you notice, every time our spirits are always troubled. Troubled, I don't know about what. It's troubled. It's troubled about finances. It's troubled about this, and it's troubled about that. It's troubled about everything. So in quietness, we need to quieten our spirit. When was the last time you were actually able to quieten your spirit from whatever you're going through? When was the last time? Just take a couple of seconds. Ask yourself. Now, when I say quieten your spirit, I'm not saying not to talk. Not talking is not quietening your spirit. You can talk. There's no problem in talking. I'm asking you, your spirit. I'm not talking about your tongue. Talking and quietening your spirit have nothing in common. You can talk, but even when you talk, your spirit can be at rest. You see, if you notice, most of the time, our spirit is not quieted. It's concerned and worried about a lot of things. And that concern, that worry and that frustration and that's causing this leads to tension and frustration. And all kinds of physical ailments will come out of that. You'll get ulcer, you'll get heart attack, you'll get low BP, you'll get high BP, you'll get DP, you'll get SP, you'll get everything will start coming. When you quieten your spirit, that's the first medication for your life to be healthy. And so when God says, in quietness and in confidence, so you quieten your spirit, and then you have confidence in the Lord. You have to be able to quieten your spirit and have confidence in God. Not confidence in your salary. Not confidence in your bank loan. Not confidence in your donation. Not confidence in your bonus. Not confidence in your appraisal and in your promotion. Not confidence in your education. Not confidence in your rich experience and your professionalism. Those confidences don't last. Did you know that all of those confidence that people had and possessed and used in the last 6 months, they lost their jobs? Do you realize that? No matter how great you were in your job, you lost it. And here's the deal. You know who got thrown away from their jobs? The most senior people. Technically what they do is they throw out the junior people and keep the senior people. Right? You know why they throw away the senior people and kept the junior people? Because the senior people's salaries are double. They pay double. So they got rid of the senior people because their salaries will get cut. They kept all the juniors with half salaries. So what do you do with your confidence in your education and your experience? It's zero. It's nothing. Your confidence needs to be in God. All those people who had their confidence in God never lost their jobs. Never lost their jobs. I'm not saying the other people are godless people. I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying their confidence was in the wrong thing. It's just the wrong thing. Their priorities were not right. And so in quietness and in confidence should be a strength. Jesus was trying to tell Martha, Martha, quieten your spirit. Have confidence in me. Because that's what Mary has done. She's quietened her spirit. She was not bothered about what she's going to give me, what she's going to fry for me, and what is there and what is not there. She's not bothered about that. She was bothered about and concerned about only one thing, and that was to be at my feet. She was only concerned about one thing, is to sit with me and listen to me. It doesn't say about what they spoke. But the way Jesus portrayed it and put it in front of Martha, it seemed that it was a very serious conversation and the most important moment for Mary's life. This morning God's telling us, quieten your spirit and have confidence in me. I was thinking about this whole worry thing. By us worrying and getting upset about details, how much have we changed? Nothing. We have not changed anything. So if nothing is changing in our worry, why are we worrying? Probably you're saying it's much easier said than done. Well, the person who's asking you the question is facing the same situation. That's why I'm asking you the question. I qualify to ask the question because I'm going through what I'm asking. If worrying is not going to change anything in our lives, then why are we worrying? So that is the question, should we not worry? I don't think we should worry. I think we should be concerned. Concern is connected with responsibility and accountability. Worry is connected with negativity and thoughts that are not of God. When you worry, most of the time, the enemy is speaking to you. People of negativity are speaking to you. But when you're concerned, you get more responsible and you get more positivity from God about what to be concerned about. We need to be concerned about what we're going through. The difference between worrying what we're going through and concerned about what we're going through, worry only gives us suggestions, concerns give us solutions. Yesterday I was talking to some friends. I said, there are two things that people do in life. People suggest to you, most of the time they suggest to you. Nobody gives you solutions. I said, the only person who can give you a solution is God. Solutions only come from God. Suggestions can come from 1,000 people. Everybody has fantastic ideas. You're in a trouble, in your problem, you go and tell somebody to say, do like this, brother, do like that, go here, do me. I also know that. I didn't want you to tell me that. I want a solution. I don't want your suggestion. You see, we mix up the solution and the suggestion. We think the solution is the suggestion and the suggestion. No, a solution is telling you how to get out of it. A suggestion is an idea. When you're worried and upset, it's most likely you'll get suggestions. And none of those suggestions will work. They're all just dreamland. When you're concerned, God will give you solutions. Because concern has everything to do with God. How do I get out of this? Worry is everything to do with, oh, I wish I could have done that. Oh, I wish I should not have done that. Oh, I wish I would have gone there. You see, your worry and your frustration only gives you your past negativity of what you should have done and what you should not have done. There's no point in worrying about what you should have done and shouldn't have done. You need to be concerned about how you get out of what you should not have done. So Jesus was only trying to tell Martha, Martha, you're not concerned, you're worried. And when you worry, you'll only complain. You'll only find fault. You'll only judge. You'll only point fingers. Did you notice that whenever you're worried and angry and frustrated, it's negative repulses. But when you're concerned, your instincts are, Lord, what next to come out of this? Okay, what I want to do, Lord, how this is. Please ask the Lord to give you an understanding of what is worry and what is concern. Because what Jesus was trying to tell Martha is, I want you to be like your sister Mary, concerned. And he goes on to even emphasize, say, there's only one thing, one important thing that she's concerned about. I will not take away that from her. And in a very simple understanding, I think Mary was just concerned about what Jesus wanted to tell her. Mary knew Jesus brought something for her. She wanted to hear that from Jesus. If you hear one word from God and follow it, you don't need to hear 100 suggestions from people. I'll repeat that. If you correctly hear one word from God, you have the solution to your life. Versus 100 suggestions from people that will never take you anywhere. It's like a merry-go-round and you'll come back to your same place. You'll just feel happy. And sometimes our human nature, we say, oh, thank God for so many friends who are coming and suggesting to me. None of them gave you a solution, they only suggested. We don't want friends who will suggest and be with us and feel sad for us. We don't want anybody to feel sad for us. We want people to come and take us out of what we're going through. And most of the time nobody can do that unless God sends them to do that. Only if God sends them to do that, they will do that. Or else they'll come and suggest. So you need to be concerned about what God wants you to know. Not be worried about the things that have happened or what you think is going to happen. And Jesus said there's only one thing worth being concerned about. And that one thing I will never take away from Mary. What is that one thing that you want to be concerned about? Jesus told Martha, Mary was concerned about only one thing. This morning I think Jesus is asking us, what is it that you're concerned about? The question is, are you actually concerned about anything, or are you worried about something? And if you're worried and upset about a lot of things, I think this morning Jesus is giving us the opportunity to convert our worry and our upset nature to being concerned about just one thing. Don't be concerned about too many things. Another important factor about being concerned is you don't want to be concerned about too many things. Just be concerned about one thing. That one thing will take care of everything. See, Jesus never told Martha, Mary was concerned about few things and I addressed all the few things. He said, Mary was concerned about only one thing. And with that one thing, she got her solutions to many things. We can be worried about many things. We can be upset about many things. But we have to be only concerned about one thing. And this morning, if Jesus was asking us, what is it that you're concerned about? What would that be? What would you want to say to God this morning? What would that one thing, that one concern be that you feel will take care of all of your worries? What would that be? You see, most of the time we've been wasting our understanding and our concept and our imaginations. We've been thinking that we've been doing the right things and process, but it's actually all wrong. Our process is all wrong. We read the Bible, but our process is wrong. Jesus was trying to make a process happen here. And that's why the story, it's probably one of the smallest illustrations in the Bible. Martha, Mary, were you worried about the details? Mary is concerned about one thing, the story is over. But you know what a big learning out of this small story is? I can talk for another 45 minutes or even 2 hours just on this. I can just keep adding and adding and adding the lesson just from this one story. And this morning God wants us to remind ourselves, quit being concerned and upset about things. Because quit being worried and upset about things. Be concerned about something important. All our worries and all our upset nature and troubles are not going to help us. One concern will take care of everything and give you the solutions. And that's what Mary and Martha, that was a big difference between Mary and Martha. Martha was not a bad person. Martha was just doing what normally anybody would do. But Mary was contemplating, even if we just gave Jesus tea and biscuit, it's fine. We don't have to make him a meal. Even if we give Jesus water, it's fine. We don't have to make him a meal. But I am not, this is what Mary is thinking, I'm never going to have another opportunity to sit down before Jesus. I'm never going to have another opportunity. In closing, I want us to be able to think of something. Imagine Jesus was going to visit you for the last time and you won't get a glimpse of him again. What would you be doing? Imagine one more time Jesus is going to come and visit you, ask you, what do you want? Tell me whatever you want. I'm not going to come back again for a long time. Do you think you'll be wasting your time with people? Do you think you'll be wasting your time with all the details and the worries? Do you think you'll be wasting your time with suggestions and listen? Or you will leave everything and come and just sit in front of Jesus and say, tell me, Lord, what do you want to tell me? You see, Mary, she was a smart lady. She knew Jesus is not going to come back to their home. This was a one-time visit. It was a one-time visit. And that one-time visit, Mary made sure that their story is recorded in the Bible. Just one visit. One attitude, one heart connection, one visit. And Martha and Mary's story is in the Bible. How many people's stories are in the Bible? If you want your story to be in the kingdom, understand the desperateness of who you are to God. How much value do you put on God? If I were to ask you how much value you would put on the gold you have an answer. If I were to ask you how much value you put on your car and your bike, I have a bigger answer. How much value you're going to put on your house and your music system and all, I have an answer. But do I have an answer of how much value I put on God this morning? If somebody asks you, how much do you value God? What's your answer? First of all, do we have an answer? We have an answer for everything we value. Our parents, our family, everything. We have a value for everything. But when we don't have a value for God, that's the problem. You will not know God. When you put your value on God, you will see God. How much you value, that much you will get, and you will respect it, and you will get back from it. I'll end with a story that I've probably said a couple of times, but I want to make a point this morning, so I want to tell that story again. There was a man who used to always carry his pen and go about everywhere, and every time he goes places, he loses his pen. Call it recklessness, carelessness, whatever you want to call it. The guy just loses his pen everywhere. He comes back, he has to buy another pen. This was happening for months. He bought so many pens, wasted money, and he got so frustrated. He was sharing this experience with a friend of his. He said, man, how do you keep your pen, man? I've been seeing you for 3 years. You got the same pen. You don't lose your pen. I lose my pen every week. So this guy, he asked him, hey, I got the solution for you. He says, tell me. So he asked him, how much did you buy your pen for? He said, I got my pen for 5 rupees. Oh, that's the problem, he said. I said, what do you mean that's the problem? He says, because you've got a cheap pen, man. You don't value the pen. He said, how much is your pen? He said, this pen is 5,000 bucks. I can't let it go. I have to watch it all the time. That's why it's with me for 3 years. He says, go buy an expensive pen, you'll never lose it again. The guy didn't actually believe this fellow. He said, what stupidity. He goes, he buys an expensive pen, and the fellow never loses that pen again. You know why? He put value on his product. For those of you who buy expensive phones, you know what I'm talking about. And for those of you who have cheap phones, you keep buying phones again and again. Right? You know what's the moral of the story? What you value, you will respect and you will adore. What's your value on Jesus this morning? What's your value on Jesus? What's your value on your smartness and your money this morning? You see, we keep complaining that God's not answering me, God's not connecting with me, God's not knowing what I'm going through. No. He's 24/7 connected. You're not connecting with Him. Because your value is more on other things than on Him. And He's not going to reciprocate because your heart is not there. Change your value system. I'm not saying money is not important. I'm not saying articles and things. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we've got value in all of these things much more than we have value in God. And that's why we don't receive as much solutions from God. We receive suggestions from people based on what we have. And then what we have gets dried up and empty very fast. And then we get into trouble. And then we go to God. It's too late because we've lost a lot of things. But nothing is too late with God anytime. It's too late for us because we've lost things. But it's much better to go to God and not lose more. And so this morning, ask yourself, how much do you value God? How much do you value God? Do you lose God very fast? Like the guy loses his pen. If you're losing God fast and you're disconnecting with Him fast, your connection and your value is poor. If you've never lost your mobile phone in the last 5 years, you've got the answer. If you've lost God every other day, you've got the answer. Your value is not as much. That's why you're losing. He's not losing you. His value for you is tremendous. His value over us is tremendous. So tremendous that He gave His life and put value on us. He gave His blood and put value on us. Tremendous value. He will never let us go. He'll never even take His eye off you. But what is your value on Him? Do you leave Him very often? Do you disconnect with Him very often? That's because your value is way less. Increase your value. Top it up. Top up that love. Top up that value. You will see results happening. You will see changes happening. You will have lesser suggestions and you will have more solutions. You'll be less worried and you'll be more concerned about one thing. And that one thing will take care of everything. Let's all stand.